Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
All right, everybody. Welcome to You as a Whole, Body, Mind, and Soul with Justin Mirigliani, and this is USA Global TV and Radio. So it's good to see everybody. The last couple of shows haven't always been positive. There have been some things that we've talked about that were negative, and unfortunately, we got one more. So I've been wearing the jersey for Checkmates. And I had to make a really tough decision over the weekend to pull the game on August 23rd. Now, I've been pushing this game and promoting this game for a year, really. I started getting it ready about a year ago, actually more than that, maybe 14 months ago. And really was excited about it. We had a lot of celebrities who said they would want to be a part of it or at least try to be a part of it. And that's one of the big things when you try to run an event like this is there are a lot of unknowns where people will tell you that they're going to try to make it. They're very non-committal because they are celebrities, and let's face it, if something bigger or better comes along, they're going to take that, right? So if I'm paying them $500-$600 to come to Checkmates and they can get a gig for $20,000, they're not going to come to mine. I mean, let's face it, they're going to go take the $20,000. It doesn't make sense for them to come to mine. So what was happening was there were some of our celebrities and some of our stars wound up having to do their own thing. Obviously, they didn't tell me what it was specifically, nor did I ask. But when you have promoted that many celebrities and you've promoted what kind of fun that night was going to be, and then it's going to be a shell of what it really was, you got to make one call or another, and the call was for me to pull it. Now, I don't know where Checkmates is going after this. I don't know if it's over. I don't even know if my hockey quote career, I mean, if you want to call it that, is over. I am skating in an event in late August for cerebral palsy with a friend of mine, Vic Vito, and I'll promote his event on the show. I'll be happy to do that. Maybe we'll get Vic to do an episode and talk about it, but it's a 3-day tournament. I believe it's August 18th, 19th, and 20th. So it's 3 days. It's 3-on-3 hockey. So it's going to be a heck of a workout. A lot of skating, a lot of moving around for it. But after that, there's one more event that a friend of mine told me about. He wants to raise money for. He's done a few of these. Brett Fisher. And I'll skate for him. And then, I don't know. I mean, I'm at 50. By that time, I'll be 51. Maybe it's time to just stop playing. I mean, it's just I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to make decisions right now when you're crestfallen because something that was important to you has just completely imploded. And that's what it did. It really imploded. And it wasn't just the celebrities either. There were a lot of guys who were part of the Joes who were going to play with the pros. And those folks, a few of them canceled at the last minute. Or at least it's August 23rd, but it's close enough to say it's almost the last minute. And that's a killer because you got to try to find more people to play, and you got to try to fill those spots, and it gets harder and harder as you get closer. And it's expensive, I get it, but you got to remember it's expensive to run the event. To run the event costs thousands of dollars. Now, I'm lucky that I had some money in the account, and there's our website for Checkmates, and that's one that we did back in 2019, I think, and it was a great time. I mean, we really enjoyed it, and there were my two daughters when they were little, skating out on the ice, and we had silent auctions, and we had, and this year was going to be so much better. It was going to be so many celebrities, as you can see, star-studded buffet. I'm gonna have to call the restaurant and let them know 2-hour open bar. But we had a lot of good players that were going to be there, especially Mark Recchi. Mark Recchi is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, NHL Hall of Famer, one of the highest scorers in the history of the NHL. Retired at, I believe, 43, which is pretty remarkable for the NHL. And he won 3 Stanley Cups in 3 different decades. No other player has done that. He won in the 90s, he won in the 2000s, and the 2000 teens. So he won in 3 different decades. So that's pretty incredible. But Bernie Perrant, I don't think he'd make it. Joe Conklin was going to be tough to get there. Lard Hart was probably not going to make it. Rolf Benirschke was probably not going to make it. Ed Bernstein probably not going to make it. You're literally talking about most of the celebrities that were just not going to be able to be a part of it. And I'd rather cancel and not, I think it'd be more embarrassing and more shameful to run an event when you don't have anywhere near the firepower that you thought you were going to have. And I'm struggling with, all my life I've tried to do the right thing as best I can. And when you don't succeed and you fail at something, or in my case, several things, it's difficult to understand why. When you see people who are not upstanding people, who are not people who deserve to be successful, who are not as hardworking, and yet they seem to get ahead. And the hardworking, they're not the people who don't work as hard. All right, I mean, I can live with that, but people who are just bad people, just people who do things like domestic abusers and people like that, that just are awful people, and violent, and somehow, some way. I mean, look at Bin Laden. I mean, he was a billionaire or millionaire. I don't remember how much money he had, but here's a horrible human being who gets ahead, and then you wonder, like, why is it that the people who do the right thing and try to do things the right way don't always succeed, or sometimes never succeed? Maybe if people chime in, if you want to write in, let me know. Do you think I should keep running the charity? Do you think I should try again next year or the year after? Or do you think it's time to put Checkmates to bed? It's been since 2014. I can't help but feel cheated because I feel like there's been a lot of suffering in my life. And because of that, I thought maybe there would be a payoff for the suffering, that it wouldn't be suffering for suffering's sake. So, for instance, I've been very open about mental illness, and that's one thing. I'm going to therapy now, so I might as well just talk about it. I mean, it doesn't matter anymore. But I'm going to therapy now, intensive therapy for depression and anxiety. And one of the things we talk about are boundaries, and I really don't have boundaries. I have what are called porous boundaries, where I say so much. And I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was helping people. I thought, everybody puts on Facebook or on social media, or if they have a TV show or whatever, they talk about all the great things that they do and all the things that they're successful with and all the things that go right. But very few people are going to tell you the stuff that goes wrong. So I thought maybe that was the way to go. I mean, not just for myself, but so people know, hey, wait a minute, maybe I'm not the only one who goes through depression, or maybe I'm not the only one who has ulcerative colitis or Crohn's. Maybe I'm not the only one who struggles with this or that. So, now I'm learning that maybe I was too open, and it causes conflict in me now because I really don't know what to think. I don't know. Do I continue to do what I was doing? Um, do people respect that? Does it help them? Does it not help them? Does it make them think less of me? Does it make them think, poor old Justin, here we go again? I don't know. I don't know. My hope was that by being real, that would help people understand what real life is about, that it's not that easy. And you work hard to accomplish as many things as you possibly can, but that doesn't mean they're always going to come true. So to go through my life history very quickly, and I've written a book. I am going to put the book out. I mean, at this point, it's been written, it's been edited, it's ready to go. But I mean, you got to look at. I'm not sure how many people would choose the life that I've lived. I mean, I was in therapy 3 days a week at 8 years old. So that I already had the depression, anxiety, and it was manifested long before that. But you can't send a 4-year-old to therapy, or I guess you could, but my parents knew to get me to therapy by the time I was 8, and I was there 3 days a week for about a year, and then he let me go. I did well for a couple of years, and then I was back in therapy, and it was one day a week, but it was from I guess sixth grade to 12 years old to 14 when I graduated eighth grade. And then I didn't go to therapy. I went to high school, but I had some depression problems in high school. And my high school career did not go as well as it should have because of my own insecurities and my own difficulties mentally. And again, some people say mental illness, and you must be crazy. It's not crazy. I'm sitting there with people who are just down. I mean, they're not crazy. They're just despondent because life is hard. Whether they lost a relationship or lost a loved one or whatever. But my story is that, so I went to therapy. High school was kind of rough, and then I went to college, and everything kind of turned around. I remember I was sitting in the car in the beginning of college, and I was almost in tears at 18, going, "Oh my God, I'm repeating what I was going through in high school. I started college, not going to parties and trying to not be as the first semester my freshman year, not being as social as I should have been. And I said, damn it, I'm not going to do this again. And it just clicked. I mean, I just somehow, some way in my brain, it just clicked, and I changed it. I literally changed it overnight, and I attended parties, and I was a part of everything, and I was there even when I didn't have classes. I was there, 17 hours a day sometimes, which I know sounds ridiculous, but I would stay there and I would talk to people and wait. And when somebody else would leave, somebody else would come. And I used to hate Fridays because Fridays people would leave and I knew that they were going to be gone for the weekend. I hated Fridays when I was in college. But I would see the we called it the wigwam at Cabrini College. And it was Cabrini College at the time. And I remember loving just sitting there all day, every day. And then on Fridays, it was hustle and bustle all morning and afternoon. And then little by little, it would empty out. And I remember sitting there by myself on Fridays and the empty feeling of knowing that I got to wait till Monday to start this all over again. And it's amazing. I went from this kid in high school that didn't go to, I went to one dance in high school, didn't go to any proms, just was not able to really function as a human being, or at least a productive one in high school. And all of a sudden I'm in college, and it was a very small college, and I was a big fish in a small pond. I won most friendly, most popular, best body, because I was a weightlifter. So all these awards that I got, I mean, look, those awards you take into the supermarket and you're not walking out with anything. So there's nothing of value there. But the point is that I turned that around. I was able to switch it on a dime, switched it, got better. And then, I got older and I had a breakup with a girlfriend that really shattered me, and I went to therapy for that. And then I met my wife, and I don't know how many, I guess it was a year later, I got ulcerative colitis, and I had just gotten together with Amy, and I just bought a house in the Poconos, and everything was going right again. It was like, all right, college is done. I mourned it for a couple of years, and now I have a girlfriend, and I have a house in the Poconos. Everything's great, and then I wind up with ulcerative colitis, and suffer for 12 years with ulcerative colitis and depression, anxiety, OCD, and then in 2015 at 40 years old was told that I had the beginnings of colon cancer, and I had to have my colon removed permanently, um, completely, and given a permanent ileostomy bag. And that's where I stand now with that. So the depression, anxiety is there. I'm not thrilled that I have an ileostomy. I got separated from Amy, my wife, in September. We're having a divorce coming up soon. That's difficult. Trying to balance kids, trying to balance college with the depression and anxiety. It just seems like no matter what I try, it just continues to fall apart. It just doesn't seem to want to click. And I thought I was doing everything right. I thought I was doing the right thing. And I was a good person. I think I am a good person. I try to help people as much as I can. I try to be philanthropic. I work at all those things, and I got to be honest with you. Today I was okay, but over the weekend, I was enraged. I mean, I was to the point where I was just it was literal rage. It was a feeling of like I can't believe that everything could go bad at the same time. It just was dominoes falling and falling and falling. And I'm better today, but and I talked to a really good friend of mine, Chuck Basti, who gave me a lot of insight today, and I'm thankful for that. But is there still a fire that's burning inside me? I think Rocky Balboa, the movie, called it the beast inside him. He's got downstairs in his belly. There's a beast inside him. I think that beast is there. I got to learn how to beat back that beast. So we are going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little more about this, but enjoy this commercial, and we'll be right back.
Have you ever felt unheard? Like your words float into a void, leaving you invisible and disconnected? How about feeling judged, when assumptions overshadow your truth, leaving you misunderstood and defensive? And then there's that moment when someone offers solutions you never asked for, dismissing your feelings and leaving you more frustrated than before. It doesn't have to be this way. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the listening mentor, understands. She's here to help you reclaim your voice, build stronger connections, and create meaningful conversations that inspire understanding and mutual respect. Through her groundbreaking books, online and in-person courses, and interactive workshops, you'll learn how to navigate life's most challenging interactions. Discover the power of elevated listening and transform how you communicate. Master setting boundaries and asking permission to protect your peace. Learn to recognize and release judgment, fostering empathy and true connection. Dr. Kerbeck also offers personalized coaching, one-on-one or group sessions designed to fit your unique needs. Whether in person or virtually on StreamYard, her guidance will empower you to thrive. You don't have to struggle alone. The path to deeper connections and better relationships start here. Visit drjacqueline.com or usaglobaltv.com. Join a global community of empowered listeners and transform your life, one meaningful conversation at a time. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck is the listening mentor. Start your journey today.
Awfully apropos, huh? For what we're talking about right now. Really kind of is what we're talking about at the moment. But with all that's going on, I've always said that, is it suffering for suffering's sake, or is it part of a bigger picture? Is it going to be that I'm going to be successful or very helpful for other people? I'm going to be, I call it the Fonzie syndrome. You know, Fonzie in Happy Days. No matter what problem he had, he got him out of it. You know, I remember thinking of the times where Richie Cunningham was in trouble and going to get beat up, and Fonzie would step in and stop it. Or they needed to come up with cash, and Fonzie would find a way to come up with the cash. Or even the episode called Hot Stuff, when there was a fire, Fonzie, you kept everybody calm. And I have the Fonzie syndrome. I want to be able to do those things. I want to be able to be the person, and I sometimes I can't even be it for me, but I can be it for other people, which is really weird. I mean, it's a weird dynamic. There are people in my life even right now that are going through a lot, that I give them advice that makes a lot of sense, or at least to me it makes a lot of sense, and they feel good, but I'm not able to always follow it myself. I'm not always able to put it into practice. And I think that's what I'm trying to learn, is how to put that into practice, and how to make that transition of intellectually knowing what I know, and emotionally being able to put it into practice and make my life better. And that's not always easy. It's a lot of people think that, I've talked about this before. When you talk about mental illness, you talk about depression, people say to you, well, you have 2 kids, and what do you have to be depressed about? Or even when things are going really well, what do you have to be depressed about? Well, depression's an illness. I mean, it's again like saying, well, what do you have to be cancer about? That's a stupid question. That doesn't make any sense. Or what do you have to be diabetes about? As if you could just snap your fingers and you just, or one of my favorites is, just change your thinking. Well, gee, I never thought of that. I mean, thanks for giving me this information. Now that I know this, it's all over. Depression's done. It doesn't work that way. It's ridiculous. But yet people look at mental illness like there's some magic trick that you can do that's going to fix it and make it better. I cannot stand the thought of having gone through all I've gone through. I can't stand it with no payoff at the end. That it was just suffering for suffering's sake, and there's no. And I'm not saying monetary or whatever, but to be able to touch lives like Dr. Jacqueline has with the hundreds of thousands of people that she touches, or I mean, this would be probably way out of the realm of possibility, like a Tony Robbins or somebody like that, or a Simon Sinek, or the former wrestler Mark Miro, who was a former drug addict and now goes to colleges and saves kids' lives by talking to them about drugs and about what they need to do to make sure that they stay on the straight and narrow and that they're okay. And it's literally hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions of people that these people are doing it. I want that to be me. It's not enough for me to. It's just not, and I don't know what to say. I mean, this may sound conceited, or I don't know how it's going to come out, but if I only touch a few lives in my lifetime, that's not enough for me. It just isn't. It's not enough for me. I need more than that, and I need it. I'm not saying that everything's philanthropic. I try to be as philanthropic as possible, but I need that. And if I don't do it, then I'm going to know that all that suffering, all that pain, all the beatings that I took were just for nothing. I mean, it was just all suffering, and that's it. And I just can't stand the thought of that. It's just something that eats away at me. Dr. Jacqueline said, I know you were doing it already doing it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sometimes you just wonder if you're making a difference. Sometimes you wonder if you're actually making a change, if you're changing the world. And then I think of my two daughters. I haven't really seen them much over the last few months because, I'm living in a different house and I don't see them during the week. I see them one day a weekend. And, I always question, my own, what kind of father am I that I'm not around enough? Shouldn't it be enough that I would be a dad first and not worry about other people? So there's that. And Dr. Jacqueline wrote again. She said, you made a difference in my life from our first phone conversation. Thank you. I appreciate that. And you did too, Dr. Jacqueline. You really did. But, I'll give you an example. I remember watching a TV show. There was a really famous weatherman back then when they called them weathermen. But it was mostly men. And they weren't meteorologists. They were just people who read the weather. So they would subscribe to a scientific service, a meteorological service, and then they would just kind of regurgitate and try to make it fun. And there was a really popular one on Channel 6, WPVI, and his name was Jim O'Brien. And I was a young kid back then. He was probably the most popular television personality in the city at the time, in the 70s and in the early 80s. And he died. He was killed in a parachuting accident. And that was a shock to everybody. The Philadelphia area was stunned. But they showed interviews with him. And one of the things he said was, if he could just touch one or two or three lives in his life, that would be enough for him. And I remember hearing that thinking, there's no way that's true. There's no way that's true, because he wouldn't have done what he did if that was true. He did a radio show in the morning. He did Dialing for Dollars, which was a game show in the late morning. He did the 12 o'clock news. He did the 6 o'clock news. He did the 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock as an anchor. He did the weather at 11 o'clock. He would sleep 5 hours a night, do all his stuff during the day, take a 3 hour nap, and then do it again. So you can't tell me that there wasn't part of him that said, I need to go out and touch more lives. I just don't believe it. And I found out later that his daughter is Perry Gilpin. She played Roz on Frasier. She was on the TV show Frasier. And he was estranged from his kids. And I'm thinking, how successful can you be? Even if you touch a million lives, if you haven't been successful as a parent, if you failed as a parent, you already failed life. I mean, there's no success if you failed as a parent, in my eyes. Another one, John Lennon. If you ever, John Lennon talked about peace and was revered, and he was in all honesty, a decent musician. He was not a great musician. He only knew a few chords, I think 4 chords, and he wasn't the greatest singer in the world. Now, he was lyricist. He could write lyrics, yeah. But his main claim to fame was that he was a leader, that people looked up to him, that they followed what he said. I mean, to the point where Nixon tried to get him thrown out of the country because he thought that Lennon was too powerful, more powerful than the president, when President Nixon was president. And it was a danger. So they wanted to get rid of him. And that's great and all. He did the bed in with Yoko Ono, his wife, and they preached about peace and but then it turns out that he was a womanizer. He slept with a lot of women. He beat women. He certainly was horrible to his first child, Julian. He loved his second child. You don't get a mulligan though when you're a parent. You don't get I screwed up the first one, so I'll just make it up on the second one. No, go back and fix the first one. Don't tell me that I'm a good parent now. You fix the problems that you had with the first child. Don't think that, now I have a second child. It's my second. Well, yeah, it's your second chance, sure. But what about your first child? Give them a chance. But my point is, you can't you touching everybody outside of your circle is great, and it's something that I strive to do, and I hope someday I get a chance to do it. I don't know how far I've gotten yet, but I also know that if I don't succeed as a parent, if I don't succeed as a son, as a cousin or brother or whatever, then it doesn't matter how many lives I've touched outside. It makes no difference, because you have to be able to do it with the people that are closest to you. But it's frustrating to me where, and we talked about this last week, but reciprocity is a big thing for me, and I gotta accept the fact that people are not like me. I mean, they're just not. Oh, we have a comment. Let's see what the comment is. Craig Shapiro, great guy. You don't get a mulligan. Love that, Justin. Yeah, you don't get a mulligan. Craig's right. Obviously he's agreeing with me, but yeah, you screw up your kid. You don't get to say, well, yeah, just have another one and I'll be better this time. No, it doesn't work that way. So do I like John Lennon and some of the things in his music and some of the things that he stood for? Sure. Do I respect him totally? No, not at all. Somewhat, but not completely. Just don't. But I talked about my daughter, and when she was, I don't know, 6 years old, 7 years old, ice skating, and she would go around to all the adults, and she would tell them what a great job they did. You did a great job today. You did a great job today. And hardly any of them would answer. They would just look at her like she had three heads. They weren't used to that. It's like, you could open your mouth and say thank you, or you could say you did too. Not saying everybody didn't. Or my daughter, same daughter, now she's 14, and she creates gift baskets. I mean, with the very, very little money that she has, she spends tons of money on kids for their birthday, her friends, and writes them 10-page cards and all these wonderful things. And then on her birthday, her friends didn't even text her to say anything, and she was crying. And I was thinking, damn it, this is the thing that frustrates me the most, is that you try to do things for people, and either they're not receptive, or they're receptive, but then when it's their turn to be there for you, they're not. But look, like Shap writes in, he's a good guy. He asked me, and I will call him. He asked me to give him a call about what's going on with Checkmates, because he knows I'm down. And a lot of friends have done that. A lot of friends have texted me, and to be honest with you, I haven't really had a chance to digest it yet. So I haven't really gotten back to anybody yet, but I will. And Dr. Jacqueline says it is reasonable and even attainable to have a great relationship with all family members, immediate and extended family, all the time. Or I'm sorry, or is it reasonable? No, there are going to be family members, especially extended family members, where you don't agree on certain things, whether it's politics or religion or whatever else. But your children, you don't have a choice. You don't have to agree with their decisions. You don't have to like the things that they do. But when they're adults, you still love them. I have an 18-year-old daughter, and if she said, "Dad, I got pregnant," would it be crippling for me for a while? Yeah, it would. It would destroy me for a little while. I'd be shattered. Would I disown her? No. Would I stop loving her? No. But yeah, I mean, that's your child. Now, if it's extended family, yeah, I have some extended family that we don't even talk to, because they just are not receptive to wanting to have a relationship. And I'll be damned if I'm going to try to have a relationship with somebody if they're just not willing to be a part of it. They're with me, it's either two-sided or it's not. Now, I'm not saying it's got to be 50-50, because it's hard. I mean, sometimes you're busy, they're busy. But if it's 90-10, it's just, what is it worth? Why do you bother? What are you getting out of that, except for frustration? Or if you're the one giving the 10, maybe you got to look at yourself in the mirror and wonder why that you're willing to take and take and take, but not willing to give. That's a you problem, if that's you. And that I would hope people would change. People get mad at me sometimes for holding them accountable, for saying, "Hey, listen, I don't want to be with you. I don't want to hang out with you. I don't want to do this with you," because it's like banging your head against the wall. They're just not being able to reciprocate. So I have to learn where that happy medium is. And I don't know where it is. I really don't. I wish I did. I wish I could tell you, well, if I do this, then this person should do this for me. I don't want it to be, try to do it for even up and tit for tat. All I want is, if I put in the care and invest in a person and they're not willing to invest in me, then I can't do it, because it's being used, and that I can't handle that. I just can't. We have one more comment before we end up the show, so let's take that one. Frankie James, love you, brother. I love you too, Frankie. Frankie tried to help me a lot. When I say a lot, I mean a lot, for the Checkmates game, and I feel terrible for Frankie that he went through all this work and then it's just going to fall apart. And that's painful, man. I got to tell you, it's tough. We have another comment coming in, so we're running out of time, but we have another comment. And there's Craig again. Not a huge Beatle fan, more of a Led Zeppelin fan. In many instances, not all, our children are reflections of who we are and the values that they have learned. But it's also vital to accept who we are and not judge others for what they are. If we expect people to be like us, you'll often be disappointed. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. And it's hard, Craig, or Shap, that's his nickname. Shap, it's tough for me to accept that. It's tough for me to look at that, and you're right. It's disappointing, and sometimes it's so disappointing it becomes depression. It really feeds into depression. And then Shap says also, be with people that value you for who you are, not what they want you to be. Also, being true to who you are is critical for your mental health. Again, he's right. He's right. My mental health takes a beating when I feel used, when I feel like people are taking advantage of me, because then I don't feel like doing it for anybody else, and then I am not me anymore, because that's who I am. So that's the story. Usually we'd be running the commercial now and talking about the Checkmates game, but we're not. And Dr. Jacqueline just put out, what have you learned about the connections or not about setting boundaries in depression? I'm working on it. I don't know where the boundaries are. I don't know. Mine are porous. They call them porous boundaries. I don't know if that helps people. I don't know if that makes people think less of me. I don't know if that is always a bad thing. I don't know if it's a good thing. Maybe there's a happy medium. I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I'm still stuck on that. I'm an open book, and some people criticize me for that, and other people they say that's great, that's wonderful. I don't know. That's part of the reason why I'm depressed. It's because I'm lost. I don't. I'm spinning my wheels, not knowing where I stand, what I should be. And Dr. Jacqueline says, we're learning from you. You are inspiring us. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. We do have another comment, so I'll take that. Shap says that was a great idea. Might have to follow your lead. Don't apologize for being a good man. Shap, you're right. I don't apologize for being a good man. I just wish that people accepted it for what it was, and that there would be reciprocation. And I'm going to have to learn and accept that whether I want it or not everyone's going to reciprocate. And either A, I could deal with that, or B, I could just write them off and just we say, hey, nice to know you. Thanks for coming into my life for a season, and that season's over, But I got to work that out. That's something that I got to work out. I think other people have to work that out too. Dr. Jackson says, can you share specifically what you would like as reciprocation? I mean, if I go out of my way and I do this, like let's say somebody needs to move, and they call me up, and I'm a weightlifter. I'm a pretty strong guy, so. And they say, Justin, can you help me move? I'm going from one apartment. I just bought a house, whatever. And I go over the house and I move their furniture and help them this whole time. And then, a month later, whatever, it's my turn to move. And I'm going into an apartment, and they turn around and they're like, well, you know what? It's a Saturday. I don't think I can make it. Those kind of things drive me crazy. Those things really, really are tough to take, because it's like, well, you used me. You just used me and then just left me when I needed you. I had, and I don't want to run too much over, but I had a friend who I met on Facebook. I don't know if she's watching, and I won't say her name, but she texted me at 4:00 in the morning. And she said, I need help. I'm stranded. And I wish I would have gotten the text, because I would have picked her up. I would have jumped out of bed immediately and picked her up, because she was stranded in the middle of the night. Why would I do that for her? Well, because she's done things for me. She's picked me up when I was down. She's helped me out. She's talked to me through things that have been difficult for me, and she's given me ideas, and she's helped me fight through depression. So yeah, I'm going to get out of bed and pick her up and not let her be stranded. If I had heard the message, unfortunately, I was asleep and I had my phone on silent. But if I didn't, yeah, I would have gotten out of bed and driven to New Jersey and gotten her. But if I do that and I call her up and she says, "No, I don't have time to talk to you," I'm never doing it again. I'm not going to pick her up a second time. That would be the last time. So that's what I mean by reciprocation is, look, if I'm going to go out of my way, and sometimes I go way overboard compared to what people think is normal. But if people don't even come close to that, if they're not, I'm not saying they have to be equal, but if they don't even come close to that, if they're dismissive, they don't want to hear what I have to say, or it's like pulling teeth sometimes to get people and friends to watch the show. I mean, it's why I would watch your show, and that's frustrating to me. But that's what I mean by reciprocation. So to end up this show, I just want to thank Chap for his comments and Dr. Jacqueline for her comments. Really, I appreciate it. I don't know what's going to happen to Checkmates. Is it over for good? I don't know. I don't have. I'm 2 days into pulling the event, so I need time to swallow this, get back to people who've been very supportive and very helpful to try and get me out of the funk that I feel after this. And I'll get back to them, but it just takes me a little time, but I appreciate it. So I will see you next week. Have a great rest of the week. And we'll 8:00 Monday night next week, we'll rejoin each other. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more fun on the next show. All right, everybody, have a great week.
Get ready to wear the brand that's changing the world of media. Introducing the official USA Global TV and Radio online store. From our TV show hosts to our incredible global guests, you asked, we delivered. Rep your appearance with pride. Whether you've been on air, hosted a show, or tuned in, we have something just for you. Visit us at usaglobaltvradioshoп.myspreadshop.com and start shopping today. Check back frequently. We're dropping fresh new designs all the time. Showcase your role in our global community. These designs celebrate your voice, your story, your presence. It's more than just merchandise. It's a movement of hope, inspiration, education, and elevated listening. Head to usaglobaltvradioshoп.myspreadshop.com. Your spotlight awaits. USA Global TV and Radio. Elevate your style. Elevate the world.
In a world full of noise, misunderstandings, and interruptions, master the art of listening with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck is the listening mentor of USA Global TV and Radio and the Amazon #1 best-selling author of Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. Elevate your listening. Elevate your life. Join a global learning experience in person or via Zoom. Reserve your spot today. usaglobaltv.com/book-your-session or drjacqueline.thinkific.com. Join Dr. Kerbeck's listening courses or hire her to unlock deeper connections and authentic conversations.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Steve Klein Art at steveklein.art.
My name is Steve Klein, born Manchester, England, 1953. My quest in my lifetime is to create artwork from my soul and the deepness within my wildest dreams and fantasies. In 2012, my heart stopped when I was given too much anesthetic for a minor knee operation, and this near-death experience took me to another multidimensional world, an out-of-body experience. and I was given the gift of being blessed by an overwhelming, burning passion to become, for the very first time in my life, an artist with an eternal, passionate desire to bring my art, which I've named multidimensional, subliminal, freeform art, to the world, as only 3% recover from what I experienced, and now in my golden years want to release my cosmic, vital energy through my art to allow people to be a part of my cosmic dance.
To learn more, email roccogoodwine@gmail.com. For VIP pricing, mention USA Global TV and Radio.
We face daily cyber risks, spending over 7 hours of screen time, including 4.5 hours on mobile phones. This convenience comes with significant dangers, with cybercrime costs predicted to exceed $10.5 trillion by 2025. In 2023 alone, seniors lost over $3.4 billion to cybercrime. Our goal is to make social engineering concepts of cybersecurity easier to understand. We work with business teams, senior living facilities, investment companies, and educational institutions, both individually and in groups. We offer real-life examples to help you recognize and prevent attacks, with sessions available both in person, in selected regions, and remotely. Schedule your training session, or to learn more, contact us today. Call us at 847-845-9360. Email us at info@cybersecurityeasy.com. Protect your team and family with cybersecurityeasy.com.
5 little-known secrets for dementia caregivers with Tracy Cram-Perkins.
Hi there, I am Tracy Cram-Perkins, the host of the Dementia Home Care Show here on USA Global TV and Radio. I am also the author of the book of the same name. And you'll see this QR code. This is for an extended version of the same talk. So if you want to see the full hour-long version, feel free to scan the code and go to that website. Stick with me. We'll talk about 5 little-known secrets to make it a little easier to do dementia caregiving. What you're seeing on the left-hand side is a healthy aged brain, age 55 and above. The one you're seeing on the right is an Alzheimer's disease brain. It is in moderate disease. It is shrinking. It has holes in it. The memories that were in those holes no longer exist. When you're learning something, let's say in kindergarten, you learn how to tie your shoelace. Well, then by the time you're in 2nd grade, your brain remembers that information from tying the shoelace and applies it so you can learn more quickly how to tie more complex knots. So the brain is hardwired to do this for us. So it helps us learn faster so it doesn't take us long to acquire knowledge. The brain is looking for the information and they pick the closest to wherever that hole is. Let's look at some tips that we can use to help do that.
These are 5 simple tools you can use as a dementia caregiver to help your loved one. The whiteboard is a useful tool in recording the day's activities and the answers to repetitive questions. The calendar clock is a very useful tool to orient your loved one on the day, the date, and the time, and remind them of upcoming appointments. The communication cards are a great tool to bridge the gap when they can no longer tell you what's wrong. And then there's the pill minder, for when your loved one is still able to take pills but needs prompting. The final tool I want to share with you is the memory book. It tells your loved one's story. It's a great tool for distraction, redirection, also as a conversation starter, and telling you where they are in their story so you know how to answer their questions.
Music is probably the most powerful tool in your toolbox after laughter. Music is a way to maintain connection. It sticks with your brain longer than any other thing, including reading. When you're having an issue with somebody, you can play their favorite music if you move them to another room, something that makes them happy, or you can start singing songs together from their childhood. These are some of my favorite books for caregivers. My show airs on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, and you can view past episodes on YouTube. Thank you, everyone.
This program has been brought to you in part by Tracy Cram-Perkins. Connect with her and order her book at tracycramperkins.com. For more information about Alzheimer's disease, support resources, and how you can help, contact the Alzheimer's Association at 800-272-3900 or visit their website at www.alz.org. They offer 24/7 helpline support and a wealth of information to assist you and your loved ones.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.